baby. I'm gonna be surprised if you guys don't hate me by the end of this video. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm feeling a little spicy before we hop into the weekend, and I'm gonna talk about some of my hottest takes in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. This is gonna be a fun conversation. I would love to hear your hot takes down below. And don't worry, we're never gonna talk about Lord Vader, Boba Fett side of Django Trench being trash, because that isn't a hot take. That is stone cold fact. Why? Because I freaking said so. Come on over. Let's talk about everything I want to get down here today. I'm gonna start with probably my hottest take. My first take probably be the hottest takes. Boiling hot. You might leave with third-degree burns after we're done with this video here today. I like datacrons. Stop the music. But there's a really big but in regards to the datacron portion. I know you guys are like what? Did he get abducted? Did CG like come knocking down his door? No! Don't worry about it. As you guys know, I'm probably the biggest datacron hater. I'm usually known as the village idiot in Kyber 1, where somehow we make it through with the least amount of datacrons, especially when you're talking about top 100, top 50. There's no one that's got lesser datacrons than I do. But here, I want to get to the core of what my hot take is here, because when you look at datacrons, there are several layers. Generally, when someone says they love datacrons or hate datacrons, they might not be talking totality. There's several aspects of it. One, you got what it's actually providing, the benefits, the seasonal benefits for specific characters. Then you have the stats, and then you have the farming process, and obviously the RNG, the upgrading process. Obviously, I don't like the whole concept of datacrons. It mostly focuses on the stat portion as well as the way we farm and upgrade them. But the part that I do actually genuinely like are just the character bonuses. But the reason why I can't fully get behind all these character bonuses is because you have to purposely go out of your way. You gotta farm them, you gotta get them, you might not even get it. But in my world, and I've been consistent on this opinion even before datacrons were a thing, if everyone could have these bonuses just by playing the game, nothing for free, nothing needs to be paid or progress, it's there for a particular season, I would love it. And this has been very consistent with my opinions in the past, but you can go back and look at. So again, if you remember the history of Galaxy of Heroes, back during the 10-year Clone Wars anniversary, this is a really big update, man. We're doing a blast into the past, y'all. They did Territory Wars special bonuses commemorating the Clone Wars. I believe they did one later on for like all the Han Solos and stuff like that, where they added for a certain amount of time seasonal bonuses to things like Mace Windu. He was a powerhouse of a character. General Grievous, before he got his rework, he got some amazing bonuses, but guess what? They were free. They just existed. And you didn't need to have Relic 5 in them. You could have used this with a Gear 1 General Grievous or Mace Windu. And if you kind of go back here, this is my favorite video I like to show. But why did they stop? All of a sudden, they pulled away these bonuses. They stopped doing them. They said, oh, people didn't like them. They figured people would like them if they had to pay money and do progression and hope they get RNG up the wazoo, aka datacrons. So this is where a lot of my, hypocrisy in regards to calling their hypocrisy out on datacrons, because they took this away from us. I like this. I think a lot of people liked it. The reasons why people hated it are the same reasons why you would hate datacrons, is because it throws off the balance, which is completely viable, criticism on the matter. But the fact that they took everything we liked about it, they took it away, and they just wanted to throw the monetization on it. That was really my big problem. And there was a bunch of other ones. Here's an old video that I made back then, kind of highlighting all the stuff. Here's my own Mace Windu gameplay going up against Battlejuice. Here was some cool stuff that General Grievous was able to do back in the day. I think this is great for the game. It kept the game fresh. It kept the game interesting, mixed things up. I know, I do want to say some people did not like the Territory War bonuses, but the reasons why you hated them, they're here just even worse. Now they're just gated. So that's going to be my hot take number one. I think datacrons would be great if they were just like this. They're like, you know what? This season in Grand Arena or Territory, the entire game, Mace Windu, General Grievous are going to have these bonuses. You don't got to do anything. These will be around for the next 3 months. But of course, it's not that hard to see why they would stop doing such things. So we're starting off pretty hot there. Maybe now that I'm talking about, maybe that aspect's not hot. I think a lot of us could agree we don't like datacrons, but I think a lot of us do like when some characters and teams become viable for a seasonal purpose, just like I just showed in the previous updates with the territory bonuses. I think that's great. But let's, this kind of ties into my next hot take that I got here. It's gonna get a little toasty in here, y'all. I actually like mods and I like speed on mods. This is one of those opinions where I think I've kind of moved a little bit back and forth on the matter over time, but I feel like at least this snapshot of my life, I think mods are a way to keep the game interesting, to keep the experience customizable, and to keep things from getting stale. Now, of course, just like the Datacron situation, I'm not crazy about the progression side of it and the way we farm them. That's obviously, I think, something that's not a hot take. Farming mods, hoping you get the right mods, that is not a hot take. But this could be a hot take. I think having speed on characters keeps the game interesting, keeps the game fresh. I played a lot of hero collector games where they didn't have speed, and it was nice because you didn't have to worry about, RNG. But the problem was, all those systems did is that just made everything pretty much the similar case. Like I know Marvel Strike Force, for example, they have their own version of mods called Isolate. There was no speed, there was no RNG involved, and people would just, build up the meta variant for a particular character, and everyone would get there. And at the end of the day, when everything kind of settles, there's really no variance. Everything's kind of the same. It feels a little cookie cutter. Whereas with mods here, if you wanted to, you could pull off some crazy combos on characters that maybe are underappreciated, making them do some really awesome that they couldn't otherwise do without the necessary speed, health, protection that might exist out there, like Moff Gideon. If Moff Gideon didn't have mods, he wouldn't be all that special. But with the mods, you can make him so fast that might make powerful plays on a variety of teams that exist out there. So at one point, this is where I kind of maybe flip-flopped a little bit. I wasn't crazy about speed on mods, but in hindsight, experiencing a lot of games out there, doing it for myself, what's the first thing that we do when we hop into a battle? You check the speeds on the key characters on their side, because it makes a vast difference. Modding support, it really gives the I'd say 50% of a character's viability and the creativity, and I think this kind of keeps things a little bit fresh, so everything's not just the same old. But again, farming the mods, leveling up the mods, and hoping you get those speeds at the end of the day. That is the painful part that I don't think is too much of a hot take. Are you guys ready? Are you guys okay? How's the temperature going in your boiler right now? Because I don't know if I'm toasting you guys up too much. So we're going to get a little bit, maybe not. This was kind of a weird one, so maybe it's not super hot. But oh gosh, this might be because of Datacrons and how I feel like Datacrons and the imbalance of those who have it, those who don't, maybe have caused this. I actually like ships. And this is one of those things, before Datacrons, I felt like ships was my least enjoyed part of Grand Arena. Now it's like, this is my forte. I got this locked down. I got the meta. I got the off meta. I'd say I'm better than most people when it comes to ships. And it's because, again, I can predict things. There's no, they have this, but I don't when it comes to Datacrons on ships. Please, can we have a moment of silence? Please, Gary, let them know. Please, no, don't add Datacrons to ships. They're looking at doing that. You just know they've at least looked at it. I think ships is my most enjoyable part of the game, just from this fact when I'm looking at Grand Arena, I know what I'm doing. It's not like when I'm looking at a Datacron, it's like, holy cow, how do I deal with 400% defense and all that other stuff? I actually thoroughly think ships is not even, I just want to put it this way. Okay, boy, there's so many caveats to all this. I don't think ships are the coolest part of the game. Obviously, I get way more excitement when new characters come to Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Ships doesn't really garner the same hype usually, so I want to make sure I'm clarifying. I don't think it's the most exciting part of the game, but I think in terms of the competitive aspect of the game, it's the one area where I feel like there's peace of mind, and I enjoy it. And this shouldn't be a hot take. Maybe it is for some people. I think ships might just be the most important part of Galaxy. It's kind of the underrated sleeper part, because again, we're playing this game for most of us. We want to play the characters, right? You want the Darth Vader, you want the Lukes, you want the Yodas, you want whatever the case might be. That's what we're here for, right? We want to engage in those Star Wars, pocket action figure like experiences. But truthfully, ships are where I think, as I always say, the boys are separated from the men. One, for some reason, gosh dang, hopefully they don't touch it. This is like one of your most stable sources of crystal income in the game, right? If you can get at least the Profundity, Executor, Leviathan, you're getting some degree of crystals, whatever it might be, and it's a consistent source of crystals that you get on a daily basis. Furthermore, ships, if you can master ships, you're locking in specific zones inside a Grand Arena or mastering, clearing the ship zones, you'll probably get more crystals in that regard. I just want to put it out there one more time. Is it the most fun game mode? Is it the most exciting part of the game? No. But it's the most important, and it's where peace resides in the PvP aspect of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go on to point. I'm hoping I didn't boil you guys out of existence here. My next hot take here, and this is gonna be a tough one. I actually think the gear economy in Galaxy Heroes is in a really good spot right now, or just the progression economy in general in terms of upgrading the characters. Obviously, ships, I wish they were accelerated, they were double drop farmable, so I'm just gonna focus on the character progression, going from gear 1 up to gear 13. I think with the recent changes, with the double drops of the gear, I think the crate drag rate, this might be another hot take, I think the crate drag rate and the raid format move forward is a good thing. Yes, I hate the frequency, and all that other stuff, and that the fact that old raids become obsolete as we're gonna go into the new Ender raid, but I do think the crate drag rate brought the next level of making the gear economy so much better. On my free-to-play account, I feel like I'm getting to gear 12 relatively fast. I feel like I'm getting to gear 13 after I get the gear 12. It feels like it's maybe about a week to get the gear 13. I feel like I'm able to predict when I'm getting to the next gear level. And I think the most important part is there is no reason that Carbantes, that stun cuffs, that stun guns were still a massive problem up until, what was it, 2021 or whatever the gear economy changes happen. I mean, it is extremely satisfying where if you want to, in a particular day, you can get yourselves hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Carbantes, of stun cuffs. I mean, look at this, just boom, I can just pull out 70 right there. I don't need it right now, which is crazy. I'm usually sitting on hundreds of these pieces. So I think the gear economy is in a good spot. And I know this is probably the hot take because obviously we just want everything, get it for free, call it a day. And I don't blame you. But understanding the scope of Galaxy as being a free-to-play game, it's got to make money somewhere. I think Kyrotech being the main source of pain when it comes to farming in Galaxy of Heroes, I think is pretty acceptable. Yes, some characters have absurd amount of Kyrotech. Oddly enough, it doesn't feel overbearing at times. Like, for example, a lot of my crystal earnings that I get after a Grand Arena season, I'll buy some Kyrotech with my crystals, or you get the crystals through the variety of assault battles and whatnot throughout the game. So overall, I don't know, I might get nailed to the crosshair because we just want to be able to get the Relic 7 immediately, But again, when you understand the game, it's got to make money somewhere. And you could still enjoy the game very much in a free-to-play sense. Yes, of course, there's going to be gates along your way. They're going to slow you down, but after they release the gates, it's really in a good spot. Now, this could maybe change if maybe Relic 5 and under becomes less important. Everything moving forward needs to be Relic 7 and above. That could be a different story. But the process of getting to Gear 12 and then to Gear 13, I feel it's in a solid spot. This would have been different a couple years ago where I thought the gear economy was horrible. I think the developers made great steps in making the game a bit more accessible, upgrading characters, especially if new players come in. It could be overwhelming if it took so long just to get one character up and running. I think we're kind of in a good spot right now. Ships, though, yeah, we need to get those shards accelerated, man. It's quite the painful experience. Speaking of farming, this is kind of a half and half hot take. Every time a new character becomes farmable, you'll either hear me praise it or hate it. And usually, you guys probably know what's coming here. I think when new characters come to the game and they have to become farmable at some point, I truthfully think it is so like miles upon miles better when they are Cantina farms. There you go. I said it. So that's my hot take. I think Cantina farms are vastly better than things like hard node farms. Let me explain why. Now, I think it maybe depends on where you are in the game, and maybe because my free-to-play account, you're only really relicking up one character at a time. Same thing with the main account. I'm usually only relicking up one character at a time, if need be. Usually, anytime I say this, people are like, oh, but my signal data. I mean, how many characters are you really relicking up at a given moment? Like on my free-to-play account, I usually never have a signal data problem. Because let's say I farm a Cantina character, I'm gonna be done with this in like 2-3 weeks. Whereas, for example, I just finished up my Bausleya Skiffguard Lando farm, and that's a several month long process, a month, 2 months, something like that. I think it's just a lot better. And I'm gonna take this a little bit further. The reason why I also prefer Cantina farms over hard node farms is solely because think about all the Kyrotech I'm missing out when I'm not using my light side energy or energy in general towards the Kyrotech. I have to waste it on farming characters via the hard node, and it takes a lot longer. So that's a lot of Kyrotech I'm missing out there. Signal data on my main account, my free-to-play account, usually is the least of my concern because, again, I'm really only upgrading one character at a time. I just got Jedi Knight Luke to Gear 12. I had all the stuff ready. Boom. Got him to Relic 7. And I'm going to work on the next couple characters here, and it's going to take a while to get the next Gear 13. Boom. I'm going to have all the stuff ready because with my Cantina energy, while I'm done farming a character so quickly, I'm stashing up tons of signal data. Like I'll just show you. I had literally 200 of each of this stuff, and obviously getting Jedi Knight Luke up, it got, used up, but now I don't have any Cantina characters farm because Chrysanthemum was fast to farm. It took me like 2 weeks or something to get him up and running, and then I can focus on the signal data. So that's another one. Some people will say, oh, but I have so many relics to upgrade. I don't know. For me, on the two aspects I have, maybe there's that sweet spot in the middle where there's a lot more relic stuff needed, and you do prefer the hard nodes. Talking about the Kyrotech being the main grind in Galaxiers, and normal energy is used to get Kyrotech quite a lot, and if you got to use it for hard nodes, that's less Kyrotech you're getting. I don't know. I feel like when I'm saying it out loud, it doesn't sound like a hot take, but these are just like frequent things that I say that I know I get some pushback on, and I feel like it kind of goes against the grain. Again, Cantina farms all day, baby. I prefer if they did Galactic War and Squad Arena shipments, but that's a little too good to be true. So I have one more thing here on the list. I was gonna add it. I don't, the more I thought about it, I don't know if this is a hot take, because especially after our recent conversation of the changes coming to Grand Arena matchmaking. Of course, when you look at matchmaking, kind of like Datacrons, there's several layers of it. You have the skill rating, you have the bracket you're in, and then ultimately the person you actually play up against, and they're addressing the part of the bracket, what bracket you'll be in. It seems like everyone should be going up to a higher bracket, therefore getting more crystals. But reading the comments, and I saw this a lot, I was like, maybe this isn't really a hot take that I have. I much preferred the older Grand Arena matchmaking system. Did it have flaws? Of course, but not as many flaws as this system does when it comes to Grand Arena. I just want to put this out there. Do you guys remember who played back then how satisfying it was? Because everyone, to summarize how it worked before, you'd only be matched up with people within your GP range. I can't remember the range. So let's say, 8 to 10 mil, they'd have a bracket. 6 to, 5 to 7 mil, they'd have a bracket. 2 to 5 or whatever. So at least you're within a range of people that are within your GP. And then you'd have those different divisions. So it'd be Division 10, 9, 8, 7, and then you have Division 1. And the downside to that was people were able to hyper-focus their roster to stay within a particular bracket, cut bloat out, and obviously developers don't like that. They want you to be encouraged to upgrade, not feel that disincentive to upgrade. You want to have people progressing. That system before kind of made people kind of keep their rosters pretty lean. And I know it even affected my account because I had a tons of bloat. I do stupid stuff. So I'd be kind of matched with people that are a little bit more lean. So I felt the negative impacts of that. I was still able to perform fine. But the reason why I enjoyed it is because at least you're within a range. You're not going to find people with 6 more galactic legends than you, like the system that we have now. And also, it was really satisfying because everyone started off in Carbonite and they worked up. It was so satisfying. So as you'd go up, you'd see these cool little badges. When you reach like Erodium, Chromium, Kyber, you get the cool animation when it happens. It was so satisfying. I feel like that was such a, it might seem minute, but it really was one of the magics that brought Grand Arena to life, in my opinion. So, of course, I'll give some props as needed. I think the new system, it's not in particular, it doesn't relate to matchmaking. I think the matchmaking before was better is my point, but obviously there's some upsides to just the new Grand Arena system in general. I think number one, having the leaderboards more accurately reflect who are the best players in the game was kind of a nice thing, because before that, it was kind of skewed, and my playstyle didn't lead to me having a high Grand Arena rank because I would always do heavy defense, win a lot of my Grand Arenas. It wasn't reflected in that. And then once they made the Grand Arena changes, people were like, what the hell? This guy's like in top 10 all the time. Yeah, because I'm a damn good player, and I'm not afraid to say it. So I think that was one of the upsides, but the other upside to the new system as well is people should have been on average getting more crystals, even when you're getting mismatched and you're losing most of your matches, you're still getting a good chunk of crystals, more than before, for most people. I want to put for most people. And I think one more thing about the old Grand Arena matchmaking that was better. I think people got complacent now, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm at least winning 50% of my battles. I don't know, because of the fact that everyone had a Carbonite the Kyber experience in every division before. I think there was satisfaction knowing that you could, if you wanted to, win all your battles. I feel like it's kind of a sucky mentality, like for my free-to-play counter, for most people that are in these type of Erodium, Chromium experiences, or maybe even Kyber, you're kind of going in with the mentality, I'm probably going to win about 50% of my matches. Doesn't that kind of suck? Don't you miss going in and be like, I'm going to win every single one of my matches? You can't really do that now unless you're maybe in Kyber 1 where everyone's pretty much got the same stuff. The only discrepancies are, of course, Datacrons, which is a big discrepancy. But again, before Datacrons, everyone in Kyber 1 basically had more or less the same stuff. So there really wasn't any variance like you'd see with other brackets that exist out there. So, it's those little things that make you miss that. People being able to do that Carbonite, the Kyber climb, the mentality that, I could win all my grand arenas this season. Not just, I'm probably just going to win 50%, and these people have so much more than me. Oh, well. It's just those things I think are important. So that's why I don't think I'm going to include that in the hot take. Maybe it is a hot take. Maybe you guys love the new matchmaking system, which I'd be a little bit surprised. So I omitted that, but I figured it was worth a little bit of a conversation. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today. Hopefully you guys still like me. If it is what it is, I know I said horrible words like mods, datacrons, cantina farms, ships. Ooh. Oh, there's some fighting words. Let me know your thoughts down below. What's your hot take? It's always fun to see these differing opinions. And, sometimes you realize maybe you don't even have a hot take at the end of the day. But you know what's not a hot take? Whew. Saying how it's great to be in the Empire today.